All right, let's go. For all of you, um, first of all, hey everyone, welcome back to this workshop of mine. I am Savvy, and today I hope to teach you on how you can learn some techniques on how to feminize your voice or how to masculinize your voice. Now, I just need you to make sure that your mics are muted for this session. You might have the opportunity to come up on stage and unmute your mic and practice alongside with me directly. So, let's get started. So, first of all, I have to preface something very important. When it comes to voice, you have to make sure to drink water to stay hydrated. Yes, very good. I saw someone drink in the audience. You know what you're doing. And so, water is really important because voice is comprised of things that we call vocal cords, also called vocal folds, and those vibrate sometimes several hundred times per second. So, as you can imagine, with such a quick vibration, they do require some lubricant, aka in our case, it's the water. Now, you want to be drinking water 10 to 15 minutes before doing any voice practice. And that is because our bodies are well made in that regard. When we drink the water, it goes to our stomach, not to our lungs. So thankfully, we don't choke on the water we drink. But that also means that the vocal folds will not be hydrated by just drinking a gulp of water. You will need to wait for the body to provide the water through the blood flow and the bloodstream. Okay? Now, another thing I have to say is certain medications are known to be dehydrating to the body. Certain medications, such as spironolactone, which I know some of you might be taking, are known to be drying to the body. I personally take, for example, antihistamines because of my hay fever, because yes, it is the season. And so I also know that this can dehydrate my body. But as long as you keep hydrating yourselves, you should be more than fine. So just make sure to always drink water. And if you do take substances or other types of medications that is known to dehydrate your body, try to work around it. I typically take mine at night when I go to sleep, so it does not affect me during the day where I use my voice. That's one tip I can give you all. All right. With that being said, that's the preface I wanted to make on voice. I'll get back to vocal warm-up in a little bit and why that is important for voice training. Okay, so what exactly is voice? Well, very simply put, here I have something called the power source filter model. Now, this is very simplified version of how voice functions. Basically, we have air in our lungs. We push that air up to this little box here, the voice box, which we call the larynx. And within the larynx, you'll find vocal folds, or vocal cords, as you might know them by their name. And so once you provide that air, the vocal folds are going to start to vibrate. Once they vibrate, they create what we call a source sound. That source sound will then be filtered by this vocal tract. The vocal tract is a series of tubes, the tube of your nose, of your mouth, and of your throat, and altogether they create a really small space or a really big space, which by modulating those, you can really change the gendered perception of your voice. And that is one of the most important, if not the most important, mechanism that we will want to focus on today, and that I hope to teach you on how to manipulate it better. Now, of course, I'm not here to teach you, very standard gendered voices. I'm not here to teach you like extremely femme voices. I'm not here to teach you
extremely masculine voices.
I'm here to teach you the tools to do one thing. Either mimic the effects of testosterone to masculinize your voice, or revert the effects of testosterone. And for this, we need to understand what testosterone does to someone's voice. Very simply put, testosterone does three main things. The first thing is that it will make your Adam's apple drop, and so it will result into a much bigger throat. So, ow!
And thus you would have a much darker voice, like a really big body. Think like
Very small ukulele versus
a really big guitar.
the bigger the body in which the sound resonates in, the darker the sound. So testosterone makes the Adam's apple drop. Ow!
Then it will make the vocal folds vibrate slower, which results into lower pitches. And then it will also create more muscle growth, which will then make the voice a lot thicker. make the vocal folds body literally thicker, so more muscle involved into the phonation process.
And that is how testosterone affects your voice. From a small space
to a big space, from a really high pitch to a really low pitch, and from a really soft voice to a really buzzy voice with more muscle involved in the phonation process.
And that is how you can masculinize your voice. And of course, for those who want to revert it, just like I did, well, there's a way. And you'll see soon how this all works. But before we get into that, I want to do something very important, and that will be vocal warm-ups. So if your voice is partially muscle, then yes, like any other muscle, it's going to require some stretching, some warming up before doing any strenuous work with it. To do this, we'll do what we call softies, SOVTE. It's a big scientific term to say that we will basically add a kind of pressure at the level of our mouth to counteract the pressure of our lungs. See, when we speak, we always speak by breathing air out. Ah, the air comes out from the lungs. You could, in theory, speak by breathing in, but really no one speaks by breathing in, unless you're me in Tomodachi Life or whatever. But anyways, you probably will not want to speak like that. So, as you speak by breathing out, right, you always have pressure from below the vocal folds, right? They're here. They always have pressure from below. And so by closing your mouth a little bit, like with a Z sound, zzz, or like a lip trill, which is when you put your lips together and they start to vibrate. That's one way you can do it. So by doing these different levels of occlusions, you can achieve more pressure here, which will then help fight against that pressure and result into a space where the vocal folds can vibrate with less pressure. And so let's try this together. Let's just start with a really simple one. Lips rounded in the way, ooh. It's a very easy one. I'll go first, I'll count to 3, and then you mimic after me. Let's try this. I go first. Oh. And you go in 3, 2, 1. Very good. Let's try a different one. Let's try the sound Z as in the word zoo. I go first. And you go in 3, 2, 1. Very good. Let's try last one. This one you might struggle with, but I really want to see how well people can do it. Let's do a lip trill. I go first. And you can try in 3, 2, 1. Hey, very nice. Good job. I heard a lot more do it than I thought people would do. All right, awesome. So that is vocal warm-up. If you can do the lip trill, do prefer it. It creates a much stronger pressure than the O sound or the Z sound. But, you know, all of these sounds can be useful, and you might want to explore these sounds anyways when you work on feminizing or masculinizing your voice, so why not? Okay, that's the end of the intro on voice, so just give me a second. Okay, so what I usually do for those who are new to this workshop is I will have 2 people on stage who want to masculinize their voices and 2 people who want to feminize their voices. However, today, as I have mentioned it in the notice, we have TPVR, the second day of it. And actually, I'll be on there, so be sure to check it out after this workshop is over. But that also means that this session section has to be a bit shorter. So instead of taking 4 people today and taking questions, I'll just take 3 people on stage today. I hope y'all understand. But of course, these workshops happen every Sundays, so you might have your chance at another one of those. All right, so today let's switch things up a little bit. We'll start with fem voices first. So if you want to feminize your voice, you can raise your hand, jump up in place, or use the hand emoji. All right, let's see. I think I saw you, Dickens, go first. So why don't you come up on stage? All right, come on, come on. Pick a plastic, Dickens. Oh, don't fall down now. I thought you were going to fall down here. Okay, hello. Hi.
You should try going out.
Hello.
You might be
Yeah, you should
muted.
try
Oh,
going out.
there you go. Hello.
Yes.
Hi.
Yes.
Yes. Hello.
Me
All right.
too.
Dickens, what
I
would you
knew
like to be
that-
called?
You can call me Charlie because Charlie is a non-binary name, so
Hey, Charlie is great. All right, let's go,
Yeah.
Charlie. We are gonna have 8 minutes starting from now. Okay, Charlie, what's your experience with voice? Have you practiced your voice on your own? Done some
actually
funny?
I have.
Yeah, you have? All right.
Yes.
Tell me about it. I want to know where you are at.
So basically, I'm kind of like this part, but I still need work, you know?
That is very good. That is really, really solid start. All right, awesome. So I'm at this part, and it's like, okay, so what I'm gathering mostly is it is a very bright sound, right? So you have, I think, successfully brought your larynx higher up. You have made the vocal tract shorter, right? By making that shorter, your voice sounds brighter. Yes, exactly, just like that. Also, your pitch is not like
Crazy low.
Even with like a really bright resonance, like having a really small size, you still would like get kind of a gremlin, a goblin voice at like lower pitches if you kept a really small space.
so. That's not what you sound like. So you're generally I would say at higher pitches. Okay, if I have one thing to say about your voice is maybe that it is leaning more on the breathy side, but that is about it. I think it sounds really great. Let's see. I want to put that voice to the test because I assume you came up on
Okay.
stage to feminize it. So let's see how much
Yes.
further we can go. I wasn't sure if you wanted to masculinize there for a second, so I don't know. Had a little bit of a brain fart. Okay. Let's see. Okay. How do you fare reading some of these sentences? Can you try and read that first sentence
Okay.
with your fem voice? Give it a try.
Hello. Good morning. How are you?
All right, very good. Hello, good morning. How are you? Good morning. Ding. If I have to be nitpicky, on the ning of morning, you went a bit darker. So, hello, good morning. How are you? Right? So it's like, and maybe it's because you went down in pitch, and the behavior of going down in pitch triggered the vocal tract to get a bit bigger. Or I don't know, maybe it's just the end of the sentence. You're like, hey, I finished the sentence. Hello, good morning. And given that I dare suppose your baseline or your current behavior of voice is,
Well, masculine, right?
then I suppose it would naturally trail down there. So you'd have to be careful with that. Knowing all of this, do you want to try it again? Having extra care for the ning in morning.
Okay. Hello. Good morning. How are you?
All right, interesting strategy. Hello, good morning. So this time you shoot way up in pitch. You avoid lower pitches altogether, and you're not wrong. It's one of the solutions you can go for to avoid dropping to a darker, bigger sound, right? Hello, good morning. How are you? That works just fine. But say, what if you wanted to use also the lower pitches of your range? What if you wanted your fem voice to go as far as here, or even lower, or even lower? It really depends on what your objective is. Are you looking for higher pitched fem voices, or are you looking for more average, pitched fem voices, or you're looking for lower pitched fem voices. It's really up to you and what you like.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is it? Are you looking to shoot for higher pitches? In which case, what you did is shooting for higher pitches with your intonation. Instead of doing hello, good morning, you did hello, good morning. So, by staying at higher pitches, you avoid, dropping back to like a more masc sound. So, yeah. Are you more of a high fem voice or of a like average fem voice? What's your
Probably,
deal?
probably both because I don't want to, I want to be more extendable. I mean, but flexible.
Okay, understood. All right. Very good. So let's see. Okay. How about you read that second sentence from the board?
Okay.
Give it a try.
I'll have a cup of coffee, please.
Oh, careful here. I'll have a cup of coffee, please. Da 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 da. That right? So the size gets bigger on coffee. So let's try something together. I want you to mimic after me. All right? Can you give me a
Okay.
very gentle whisper? Let's just check if your mic settings are good. So, can you say coffee
Coffee.
without any voice? Right now, I heard like coffee. I want to hear just coffee, just a whisper.
Coffee.
Very good. And I'll try to say coffee, 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 coffee.
Coffee. Coffee. Coffee.
Very good. Careful here. It almost became coffee. It's like you're turning French. Ah, café! So one thing to be really careful with is what we did here is a resonance exercise. It's a vocal tract changing exercise, right? We are starting from a really dark, big size coffee, going for a coffee, right? But what you want to do is not lose the vowel, right? Because no one says coffee unless you have a very specific accent or you're French, I guess, of course. So you really want to keep the all sound of coffee. Or it depends, really. I dare suppose British and Americans and other accents might pronounce coffee differently. I just say aw, as in aw. I like aw, that's cute. Coffee, right? So when you brighten the sound, be sure not to brighten it too far. Otherwise, you run the risk of, well, changing to a different vowel position, right? So quite literally, your tongue will be moving, and we do not want to rely on the position of our tongue to modify our brightness, because you're gonna start saying different vowels. E, E, A, O, U, all the different vowels in the English language require a different lip shape and a different tongue shape and position. And so this is why it's so important that we really focus on keeping the larynx up, or brightening your voice with raising the larynx, so we don't impede on the tongue, so we can say vowels and words as we want. Okay, very good. So let's try this again. This time really try to keep the aw sound in coffee. So even in the whisper, from coffee to coffee. I'm not going for coffee, but coffee. Give it a try.
Okay. I'll have a cup of coffee, please.
All right, very good. I'll have a cup of coffee, please. Awesome, very good. Da 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 da. I'll have a cup of coffee. So you are all the time at C4, but I want you to challenge your lower pitches, right? Because you did want to be more flexible. So I want you to try and mimic after me. Let's do 1 or 2 attempts and then we'll be done. So let's try this. Match my voice here. Ah. Very good. I'll have a cup of coffee, please.
I'll have a cup of coffee, please.
Very good. Down to F3. Very good. And from here, I'll have a cup of coffee, please.
I'll have a cup of coffee, please.
Very good. And now we can intonate normally. I'll have a cup of coffee, please.
I'll have a cup of coffee, please.
Careful. Please. Please.
Please.
Very good. I'll have a cup of coffee, please. And just like that, you went from a voice that was all the way up at C4, so like in the fourth octave, down to now what, like the medium part of the third octave, so much lower. But what I would start to consider like an average leaning lower fem voice. Of course, there's other pitches that you might want to challenge yourself to speak fem with, right? Because I'll have a cup of coffee, please. That's just F3. And talking about ranges, here's a slide. Has it loaded for you? Awesome. So as you can see here, these are arbitrary ranges that come from like statistically, I guess, somewhat correct things. Don't take it as the entire truth, because even if this is fem range, this is a C4.
If I keep my resonance, my vocal tract really big, then I still sound masculine, right?
And if I go down to E3 and keep a really small vocal tract, I still sound femme, right? So, and I could go lower down here. Yeah, so I could speak with a femme voice down here. And this is maybe what you would also want to challenge yourself to do, right? Being able to like conquer all of that lower range. Think like if you have played that game Baldur's Gate 3, the narrator's voice, you know, she does speak like that, very low, very lower voice kind of type. So yeah, these are voice types for you to explore. What I would say is you generally slay pretty hard at high pitches, and you keep your brightness, well, your vocal tract really small and bright, so the sound of your voice is really bright. That's good. So really, the real challenge is, I would say, pitches like F3 and below. All of this range, it's not in the pink area, but it can very much become a part of your voice if you put the work in. Okay? All right. I hope that helped you out, Charlie. And hope to see you around
Thank
in
you
one of those
very
workshops.
much.
All right. Everyone give a big applause to Charlie. Next up on the stage, I want someone who wants to learn how to masculinize their voices. Who might be interested? If you're interested, raise your hand, jump in place, or use the hand emoji. Anyone interested in making their voices masculine? Or we have no masc voice users today. Yes, it does make my my work easier. Not really, but okay. Let's not wait. Without any further ado, we'll do another femme voice. So who might be interested? Raise your hand or jump in place if you want to do femme voice. Okay. You're like in front of me, so Velvet, you've not been on stage before, have you? All right, come up on stage. Come on, come on. Right side, left side, or it's probably reversed left, right. All right, a big round of applause for Velvet.
Ooh. Hi, good morning.
Yippee! Hello. Hi there, Velvet. Hello, good morning. We got 8 minutes starting now. Pray tell, Velvet, what's your level with voice? Like, have you done some work on your own? I kind of want to say yes from what I'm hearing so far. Are you like familiar with the terminology and methodology we use here?
This is my second class here. Yep. Oh no, third
okay,
class.
Awesome. Only third class. All right, very good. Let's see what your voice is made of. So, let's try this. Why are you yelling? Ah, yes, the other alarm. Okay, so I want you to give just your best and, you know, just chill out. Just read that first sentence for me.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Very good. Hello, good morning. So I'm pleasantly surprised to hear that the ning is very bright. Awesome. Hello, good morning. How are you? All right, very solid. How about the next sentence?
I'll have a cup of coffee, please.
Maybe I'm a bit more nitpicky on that one. I'll have a cup of coffee, please. I'll I'll have a cup of coffee, please. Well, can I hear it once more, just to be extra sure?
I'll have a cup of coffee, please.
Okay, that definitely changed. I'll have a cup of coffee, please. All right. I was tempted to say that the first one was kind of underfull. Underfull meaning that your voice sounded a bit too soft and it kind of made it sound dark in comparison to like the hello, good morning, how are you? But now you kind of put more oomph in that voice. It was more like a I'll have a cup of coffee, please, instead of I'll have a cup of coffee, please, which I think is all right. Maybe I should explain the concept of overfullness and underfullness, so I will take the opportunity to do so. This is by far the worst graph I have made so far, but here it is. Has it loaded for you? As
Yes, it
everyone
has.
knows, all right, awesome. As everyone knows, glasses of water are red and really poorly done, right? Okay. I'm not someone who draws well. So anyways, imagine that your vocal tract, so pretty much your neck, right, is like a glass of water. And the glass can be very small
Or it can be very big, right?
and then you can view vocal fold mass or vocal weight as what fills up that glass. It's not entirely exact, but basically, if you think about it, it's a space, and that space can be filled up with sound more or less.
Fill it not enough, and you get like this kind of voice. Fill it a lot, and you get more like this kind of voice.
So, in your case, I would say you're kind of in the middle here. So, you're definitely leaning towards, I would say, a rather small size, but maybe you're too thin, not sure, or maybe your vocal tract is a little bit bigger and you are, putting a bit more vocal fold mass behind it. So it's a thing that you have to work in balance with. Generally, I do bring this up when we hear buzzy voices. It's a very common trait. Actually, it's not that common now that I think about it, but sometimes people will like speak like that, right? They will have like a buzzier voice when they try to feminize it first. And that is generally because they carry over the behavior of the thicker vocal folds,
That they had like in the mask voice.
up in their fem voice, right? They adapt the higher pitch, they make the space smaller, but they don't make the vocal folds, less thick. In your case, I don't think they're really thick or that you're like buzzy at all, but maybe you're kind of in that area where you might sometimes make your voice a little bit too soft and it kind of makes it darker perceptually. And so if you like just put a bit more behind it, you get a bit more oomph, more, well, you literally fill up the glass properly, right? So you're more audible. Of course, that it's not really a gendering component, I would say. I mean, in a sense, it is. If you think that every slightly dark sound is masculine, but it's not exactly the case, right? We can have really bright femme voices. On the same pitch, we can have slightly less bright voices. On the same pitch, we can have even slightly less bright voices. And I think that still works as like a femme voice. It's just more like yawny, more like maybe like sleepy quality. And we can also like have even more relaxed. But like here, I start to feel like we're dipping into a more androgynous, right? Because like the size here is pretty big, but the rest that sells it is kind of the intonation and the softness of the voice here. Okay, so big tension just to say, when it comes to your voice, don't be afraid to push it a little bit. Femme voices that are thicker do exist that portray a much buzzier sound. I think there is this VTuber, if I remember correctly, Iron Mouse, she has like a pretty thick voice, but no one would dare gender her mask, right? It's a very, very femme sound. Despite the sound being definitely overfull and buzzy, right? Okay, so let's go back to the sentences and whoop, that's on the right one. Perfect. I want you to go for the third sentence. Give it a try.
All right. I forgot to take my hormones.
All right, very good. I forgot to take my hormones. Okay, very good. Now, here, we can try what I just said right now with the vocal fold mass. So this time, try to go extremely soft. Ugh, I forgot to take my hormones.
I forgot to take my hormones.
Now, careful, you didn't quite just go soft. You definitely, yes, disengaged your vocal folds a bit, but you were very breathy. So once you disengaged the vocal folds, the airflow, how much you breathe out, was still very great. So, okay, we generally want to like really lower the sound. So try to do the quietest sound possible, like. Very good. I forgot to take my hormones.
I forgot to take my hormones.
Kind of kick back in. I forgot to take my hormones. So careful with the start of the word. Maybe you start the voice with like too much air. I start to take my hormones. Like try to. I. Much better.
I forgot to take my hormones.
All right, very good. So this is a very good check that I did here because I forgot to take my hormones. Your voice is very soft, but it's still very femme. So that means that even if your vocal folds are not, thick enough to like produce a loud sound and a really powerful femme voice like that, you still sound very femme. So that means that the work on the vocal tract size is very good. You have indeed made your voice a lot brighter. Now, as it comes for challenges, maybe I would say do work maybe on regulating your airflow so that you can be more consistently achieving those softer sounds, so you can have a wide range available from, oh, I forgot to take my hormones. Are you really sure about that? Or are you really sure about that? Right. So you can have like varying intensities of your voice depending on the context, the mood, the emotion you want to express. This is always a very useful tool. It's a bit hard for me to say. Like at the start I was like, your voice is a bit dark, but now I'm like, not really. So there's not really problems with your voice. Just keep using it. You might end up falling into other pitfalls that are not the ones that we encountered today. So just keep a sharp ear for it. And best of luck with your voice work. You're doing great.
All right, thank you, Savvy. You're the best.
You're very welcome. Big applause to Velvet. Okay. So, looks like we're really on schedule.
So much
If we
stage
are
fright.
doing great, we might have a fourth, but I make no promises. All right, I'll reiterate. Maybe new faces? No, I don't see no. Maybe I'll ask anyways. Does anyone want to do masc voice? Well, yes, not. All right, let's do another femme voice user. So if you want to come up on stage, practice your voice with me, raise your hand, jump in place, or okay, you over here, dragon person, Keith Luvick. You've never been on stage before, right?
No, I haven't been on stage.
All right, then please come up. Big applause to Keith Luvick. Hello, Keith Luvick. Of your real name, Keith, or what do you want me to call you? Let's make it simple.
Kid is all right.
Keith is perfect. All right. So, Keith, first time here or now? You've been around a bit.
I've been to many classes, but I've never been on stage.
Okay, good to know. So, methodology-wise, you kind of know a little bit about it, right?
Yeah. I've been practicing outside the workshop.
Okay, very good. Sorry.
First disclaimer: English is not my first language.
That's totally
Maybe
okay.
That, sorry. I'm trying to work with around this voice.
Interesting.
And it's hard. It's hard. I,
Okay.
I am with a bit of a sore
Um,
throat from the morning.
oh no. Does your voice hurt in any way? No?
No, no, it's just
Oh,
harder to
okay.
maintain brighter
So,
tones.
you kind of were like speaking with a voice like that, right? Like it's actually very much like it kind of echoes what we saw before about underfull voices. In that case, that is a very underfull voice, but not for the reasons that you might think. Not because you have a really bright vocal tract and like a really small space. Bright vocal tract, a bright sound due to a small vocal tract, but rather here the way your vocal folds behave creates necessarily a very underfull sound. And that is something I don't have a slide for. Actually, maybe some. That's not the right one. Nope. Oh, that can work, but I want this one. Yeah, this one is nice. Okay. Oh, I think they kind of fixed the GIFs a little bit. Okay, can you see this? All right,
Yes.
awesome. So, okay, when the vocal folds vibrate, right? For example, if I hold a pitch like this, that's an A sharp 3 in terms of scientific notations. We would use hertz, like the frequency. That would be about 230 hertz. That means the vocal folds open and close. That happens 230 times per second, right? But the way they close is not always the same, depending on how you use the vocal folds. For example, if you are breathy, the vocal folds will close and open, yes, but when they close, they will never fully close. There will always be a stream of air passing through them, right? Now, when you go for higher pitches, sometimes what can happen is the introduction of what we call a glottal chink. It's a scientific term to mean that there is a little hole in between the vocal folds that will not be fully closed, and that kind of gives it a Mickey Mouse quality. If you are familiar, some of you, with classical singing, that sound might be referred to as falsetto. So, it's like that kind of voice where like it sounds a little bit fake. In the case of like Mickey Mouse, it's like a really big size and like that really light sound, and it sounds kind of goofy and all that. So you don't sound exactly that because you actually already do a little bit of the work to like brighten the voice. So like you don't sound like that, but like a bit more like that, right? But it's still a bit too light, right? We actually would want to get away from that vibration pattern and achieve something that fully has the vocal folds close, okay? So let's try this together. We can go from low pitches because in your normal voice, you don't speak like that, right? Even in low pitches, right? So you can recognize that your masc voice has a fullness to it.
Right? Like the vocal folds are closing and opening fully and properly.
You get a full sound, right? And you want to keep that fullness all the way up to higher pitches. So I want you to mimic after me.
Oh.
Oh, oh, oh. Yes.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. And now from this pitch, we move up. Oh, this is a C sharp 3. Try to match it.
Oh.
Oh, oh, oh.
Oh, careful, you're here. Oh, D3. But it's good, we are climbing up. Oh, this time we're on E3. Oh.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, your voice is kind of cutting off, so I want to make sure really quick. Can you go to your sound settings from the quick menu, and under the microphone tab, you can remove noise suppression. Hopefully, it's in English for you. I don't know. Noise suppression and the mic activation threshold should go down to 0%. Did you find it?
Yes.
All right, awesome.
It's
Let's try this. Let's try this again.
Oh,
oh
Nice. That's a C sharp 3. Let's do scales.
oh,
oh.
All right. Oh, so you end up a bit lower. Careful here. Oh, okay. Now I want you to go back up to that high pitch. Oh, and stay here. Oh.
Oh.
Very good. Oh, you actually went a bit sharper. So you instead of going here, you went here. Oh, to F3. But that's okay. And around F3 is where the magic can operate because
F3 can sound really masculine,
or it can sound really feminine. That's the exact same pitch. The vocal folds vibrate at the exact same speed. So we can make use of that pitch to feminize your voice. Let's try it. You're already familiar with the whisper exercises, yes? All right.
Yes.
So let's try this together. I go first. Let's go and do a dark pat that cat.
but that cat really big.
Pat that cat.
All right.
But
Pat, 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 pat that cat.
Pat 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 that cat.
Very good. Pat that cat. And now we're going to close the vocal folds into F3. So pat that cat. Pat that cat.
Pat that cat. Pat that cat.
Yes, just like that. And now, pat that cat. Let's try and read a sentence with this. Pat that cat. Can you read? That mad brat sat.
Okay. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Careful here. Whilst it sounded really right, that mad brat sat. Ooh, it went down to D3, so it's a much lower pitch. And your voice sounded also a bit thicker. That mad brat instead of that mad brat. So be sure that when you do the bridge, that you don't do. If you have too much air, you're gonna have to close the vocal folds accordingly to match that strong influx of air, right? So the less air you have, or not the less air you have, but the less air you provide to the vocal folds, the more likely it is that you can have a softer voice. Okay? Let's find the pitch together, right? So the pitch was, oh, match my pitch here. Let's do a really quiet ah.
Ah.
That's better. Careful because you kind of aim for like really high pitches, and that's why you get that right, that voice crack. Because like you aim for really high pitches, you engage that that very under full voice, right? Due to that kind of like falsetto sound, right? And so if you start from lower pitches, you're more likely to not see that happen. Maybe prefer doing something like
oh,
try that out. From the bottom up.
Oh. Oh.
You went a bit too far.
Yeah.
Oh. You actually weren't fine here. Oh, but you were. Oh. It went much higher. So, okay. You kind of want to stop at. Oh. I'll keep doing the pitch, and I want you to do the same pitch as me. So we kind of like sing in unison. Let's try this. Oh. Yes, the last pitch again. Oh.
Oh.
You're here. Oh, I'm here. Oh.
Oh.
Yes. Oh. Now do it on the ah. Ah, pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
We went down back to E3. Not a huge change, but that's all right. All right, and from here, pat that cat. Let's go back to that mad brat. Let's make it into a whisper.
That mad brat.
Really big at first. Very low airflow. We want to be quiet.
That brat.
That mad brat.
All right. Now let's try this.
That.
That's mad brats. Good. Beautiful. And from here, general normal speaking range, but that does not mean that those pitches are completely off limit. A lot of people use those, right? Da 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 da. For example, right here, I'm at D4, but I do not sound like Mickey Mouse, do I? But I very much could sound like Mickey Mouse at D4, right? So it's all a matter of how you use the vocal folds. Generally, if the sound is too light, if it sounds too soft, maybe there is a problem and you should investigate that. But honestly, up until here, your voice didn't break, so you have all of this range in your normal voice, quote unquote. Just make good use of it, and you could intonate things like, I don't know, that mad brat sat on that flat mat, right? So try this. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Okay, I have to like
Yeah, we have to
really,
sit again.
really focus.
Yeah, I know.
To set.
Take your time.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That's beautiful, great. It did get a little bit too soft at the end. That mad brat sat on the flat mat. So maybe try to have a bit more weight to this. From that mad brat sat to that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That's great. Awesome. No, it's okay. I was muted. And I'll try this. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Da 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 da.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Great, very good. Except on the mat here, that mad rat sat on that flat mat. But the rest was that mad rat sat flat on the. That was really, really good. Okay, good job. So just
Thank
watch
you.
out for that last pitch. It was a bit na-na-na. So what I would recommend is, yeah, the first voice I heard from you was like very soft, kind of like falsetto-ish from like those higher pitches. But you see, we can make use of all of that lower range, and it sounds just them as well, right? So don't be afraid to use the lower pitches, and I would generally recommend you actually would prefer working from the bottom up, reconquering those higher pitches as you, build up your range and build that stamina of, your fame voice, your famous voice, your femme voice, sorry. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, don't be shy to like use lower pitches. You also struggled a little bit on pitch accuracy, so definitely try to play a bit with like pitch monitoring softwares. I would generally recommend those. You maybe have one already on your phone, I don't know. But I recommend this one on iOS, this one on Android, because they're free. So yeah, you can use any of these apps and kind of monitor your pitch and kind of like play around with different intonations and different pitch ranges. Okay?
Okay.
Careful.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, now you set up for the higher pitches, right? So make sure you set up for like the maybe lower pitches, like maybe like for a lower voice and then build up. But yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I may
Mhm.
make a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
I always wanted to ask this as the voice is a muscle. Does it benefit from muscle memory? Does it get easier to make the voices? Because as I said,
Yes,
to make the voices I practice with, I have to like really focus. Like I put my Apple up, uh, close my vocal track, try to like I'm trying to be conscious about it, but it's hard to
absolutely.
maintain, and that
I know.
I tend to crack a lot when I practice.
It is unfortunately a normal process
Hmm.
of voice training, right? Because a lot of voice training is just getting the behavior right, but the 80-90% of the work is going to be how do I maintain this voice on the long duration? How do I keep the stamina up? So it does get easier with time. I mean, eventually your brain will be like, oh, that's the normal voice to use. And so it will just default to that fem voice. I promise. I'm not like, I don't stop this lesson and I'm like,
Huh, I really fooled them into thinking I use a fem voice every day. Ho ho.
no, I literally wake up and snore and all that stuff in a fem voice. Snoring, maybe not so much. But you know how it is. Um, yeah, it does get more natural with time. It's kind of like rewiring your brain, right? Like it's kind of like starting a new routine, right? You didn't brush your teeth when you were born, but you brush your teeth every day. Like it's not, it's a behavior you kind of like learn to do, right? Or you feel bad if you don't do it, whatever. And it's the same for voice, right? It's something you've grown to hear every day, and your brain is like, I expect my voice to sound like that. So a lot of things that may happen is like imposter syndrome, because your brain is like,
My normal voice is this one, and anything that's not this voice, is an alien, and it's not me.
but it very much is you, right? Voice is like a tool to kind of shape your personality for others and for yourself in a way. So, yeah, it does get easier. Short answer. It does get easier with time. Just keep practicing at it. And yeah, what I would say is try to, because right now it's a very focused practice, right? Like you sit down, you think, you listen. I hope you record your voice as well and you listen back to it. But when it
I
comes
probably
to,
should.
yeah, recording is really helpful. However, if you feel a lot of dysphoria to when recording your voice, maybe you don't. I would say it's a good idea anyways to record your voice. But if the dysphoria gets too much, I can understand why you wouldn't. So it's your call to make. Honestly, it's totally up to you. But okay. I think that's all I have to say about this. So yes, best of luck with your voice training. Remember not to start for really high pitches because there's a trap of starting into that really hollow sound, that really underfall sound, right? Always think of build from the bottom up so you can get a bit more fullness in that sound. And yeah, best of luck with your vocal journey. Everyone, give
Yeah,
a big round of applause to Keith.
thank you so much. Sorry, let me try one more thing.
Yes.
Thank, thank you so much.
Yes!
Did I do it right?
Yes,
I
you did
went too far.
amazing. Did I do it right? No, it's fine. Did I do it right? Was not. Did I do it right? So yes, you actually did it right. Good job. Woo!
Thank you.
Woo! All right. Pew pew. Okay, so as I said today is going to be a shorter one, and it has come to an end. So, we have what? We have like 3 minutes. So I'll take one question and a short one. Okay. Lavi Bean, come closer.
How many
Come
years?
closer.
Okay. Right.
Uh, okay, tell me.
How many years have you been doing this?
Oh God, how long has it been? I would say, that's a good question. I would say I'm like 7 to 8 years in now, ish. It's been a while. What I would say though is that I technically got my fem voice really well, like in the first year. And then I had to convince myself for the 2 next years that it actually sounded fine in fem, because my brain just refused to believe that this is my voice. But it eventually worked out, you know? So, yeah, I don't know if that's what your question is about, but yeah, honestly, people have very, very different experiences with voice. Mine was rather long, for some it's shorter. Hope that answers your question.
It does. I was just asking. I was
Okay.
expecting you to answer that way, anyways. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So let's wrap it up here. So, hey everyone. My name is Savvy. I teach voice feminization and
Voice masculinization.
I teach human beatboxing as well. It's a funny thing that sounds like. So if you want to learn any of that, vocal techniques, beatboxing or not beatboxing, you can hit me up on Discord at savvy_sav, or you can join my Discord server, Scientifically Augmented Voice. There's a link here, but oh wait, there's an easier way. You can just click on my bio up here on my name, and there's a link that should take you directly to my Discord server. You're welcome, that is much easier. I also do public lessons over there, so if you want to learn stuff over there, be sure, to be sure, I lost my train of thought. It's okay. But yeah, I do public lessons there. You can, show up, shadow those lessons, come into the chat, learn alongside the students over there. So that's also an option. And yeah, if you want to know more about booking lessons with me, just let me know on Discord and I'll be sure to answer you on that. All right. Thank you all for joining in today. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Happy Pride Month, of course. But, if you have been here yesterday, you know that Trans Pride VR is happening right now. And it will also be happening, well, today, actually in a few minutes. We're going to have a panel with Jessa and myself where we'll be talking a bit more about ourselves, who we are, and if you want to learn more about us, and maybe get a few voice tips if you're lucky, you can always try and hop into, I believe it is the main instance, but check out the Discord information on the Trans Academy Discord for more info. All right, I wish you a great rest of your day, whatever you choose to do. Stay hydrated, beat the heat waves, you're gonna be fine, and yeah, y'all have a great one. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Savvy.
Bye.
Thank you. All right. Okay.
Hello.
It
Thank
has
you.
been a very long time. I remember playing Stellaris.
That's the wrong one. Ah!
Oh yeah,
by the way, you
I
did
was
leave.
thinking of getting
Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Portal.
I'm okay to go wherever.
I don't.